Why do some women walk into a room and instantly feel different? Not louder, not more dressed up, not covered in logos, just different. You've felt it before. You've stood next to her at a coffee shop, at a wedding, at the airport. She wasn't trying too hard. She wasn't wearing anything you could name off a runway. And yet, something about her registered as elegant before she even said a word. Here's the uncomfortable truth. It was never about the clothes. It was about 8 small, almost invisible decisions she made. Decisions most women never even notice they're skipping. Decisions that separate a woman who simply follows trends from a woman who has quietly built a signature. Today, we're decoding all 8. Not theory, not opinion. Observable, repeatable patterns you can start using by tonight. Because once you see these, you can't unsee them. And once you start applying them, people will feel the shift before they understand why. Let's begin.
Number 1. She dresses for her own silhouette, not for the algorithm. Trend followers dress for a feed. Elegant women dress for a mirror. Here's what that means in practice. A trend follower sees an oversized blazer everywhere online and buys it, regardless of whether it drowns her frame. She sees wide-leg trousers trending and wears them, even if they make her look shorter, boxier, less defined. She's not dressing for herself. She's dressing for approval from a screen she'll never actually stand in front of. An elegant woman does something quieter. She studies her own proportions, the way a sculptor studies stone. She knows where her waist naturally sits. She knows whether her frame reads better in structure or in drape. She knows that a trend is a suggestion, never a rule. This is why old money style photographs so effortlessly, even in candid, unposed moments. The clothes were chosen for the body wearing them, not for a trending audio clip. Try this tonight. Stand in front of a mirror in 3 outfits you already own. Don't ask, is this in style? Ask, does this honor my actual shape? That single shift in questioning is where quiet elegance begins.
Number 2. She has a uniform, and she's not embarrassed by it. This one surprises people. We're taught that fashion means variety. New outfit, new combination, every single day. But look closely at truly elegant women, from Grace Kelly to modern-day quiet luxury icons. And you'll notice something almost shocking. They repeat themselves. The same 3 or 4 silhouettes, the same handful of colors, the same coat worn for a decade, not a season. This isn't laziness, it's mastery. A trend follower chases newness because newness feels safe. It means she's keeping up. But keeping up is exhausting, and it shows. Her closet becomes a graveyard of one-time purchases she never wears twice. An elegant woman builds a uniform instead. A go-to trouser cut, a go-to blouse silhouette, a go-to coat. When she gets dressed, she isn't reinventing herself every morning. She's refining an identity that's already settled. That's why she looks so put together without appearing to try. She removed the decision fatigue years ago. Coco Chanel wore variations of the same silhouette her entire adult life. Steve Jobs did it with black turtlenecks. The principle is identical. Repetition, when it's intentional, reads as confidence. Repetition, when it's accidental, reads as carelessness. The difference is whether you chose it.
Number 3. Her accessories whisper instead of shout. This is one of the fastest ways to spot a trend follower from across a room. Logo visibility. Trend culture teaches women that fashion is about being recognized. The monogram bag, the branded belt, the sunglasses with the name stitched across the arm. It's not really about beauty, it's about broadcasting a price tag. Old money style flips this completely. The bag might cost just as much, sometimes more, but the branding is nearly invisible. A small clasp, a subtle stitch pattern only someone in the know would recognize.
The wealth isn't announced, it's implied. This isn't about money, though, and that's the part people miss. You don't need a designer budget to apply this principle. It's about restraint. A trend follower wears 5 accessories because more feels like more effort, more style, more visibility. An elegant woman wears 2, maybe 3, and each one is deliberate. Think of it like a sentence. A cluttered sentence with 10 adjectives says less than a sentence with 2 perfectly chosen words. The same is true of an outfit. One structured watch, one pair of understated earrings, maybe a single ring that matters to her personally. That's it. That's the whole story. And it says more than a full jewelry box ever could.
Number 4. Her grooming is invisible. Not absent, invisible. Here's a distinction almost nobody talks about. There's a difference between looking done and looking cared for. Trend followers often chase visible effort. The sharp winged liner, the heavily contoured cheekbones, the hair that's clearly been curled within the last 30 minutes. It photographs well for a single frame, but in person, it reads as effort you can see. Elegant women aim for the opposite. Effort you can't see, but somehow still feel. Skin that looks healthy, not filtered. Brows groomed, not drawn. Hair that looks like it simply grows that way, even though behind the scenes, it took real discipline to get there. This is the quiet luxury version of the no makeup philosophy, except it extends beyond the face. Trimmed, healthy nails instead of elaborate nail art. A simple, consistent hair routine instead of chasing every new coloring trend. Her grooming isn't about being noticed for trying, it's about never appearing to have not tried at all. The takeaway is subtle but important. Visible effort reads as performance. Invisible effort reads as identity.
Number 5. She dresses 1 notch above the moment. Never 2 notches. Never 0. Watch how people dress for something as simple as grocery shopping, and you'll learn almost everything about their relationship with style. A trend follower swings between 2 extremes. Either she's in loungewear that reads as, "I gave up today," or she's overdressed for a casual errand in a way that feels like she's performing for an imaginary audience. Neither extreme feels intentional. An elegant woman has quietly mastered a concept stylists call dressing 1 notch up. Not overdressed, not underdressed, just slightly more considered than the situation strictly requires. Clean jeans instead of joggers, a simple knit instead of an oversized hoodie, loafers instead of worn-out sneakers. It's a small gap, the difference between "I just rolled out of bed" and "I put myself together," even for something small. But that small gap is exactly what people register as elegance, even when they can't articulate why. This principle carries into every setting. Dinner with friends, a work meeting, a flight. She's rarely the most dressed up person in the room, and she's never the least considered either. That consistency across every context is what makes her presence feel stable, predictable in the best possible way.
Number 6. Her color palette is a decision, not a mood. Trend followers often dress in whatever color is having a moment. The it shade the algorithm decided everyone needs this season. The problem is that trend-driven color rarely considers the person wearing it. It flatters the trend cycle, not the skin tone underneath it. Elegant women approach color completely differently. At some point, often quietly without announcing it, they identified the small handful of tones that genuinely work with their skin, their hair, their undertones. Cream instead of stark white, camel instead of orange-based tan, soft charcoal instead of harsh black, muted sage instead of neon green. From that point forward, most of what they wear lives inside that palette. It's why their wardrobes photograph as cohesive, even when the pieces were bought years apart, from different stores in different seasons. The colors were never random. They were chosen once, deliberately, and then trusted. This is also why an elegant woman's closet rarely feels chaotic, even when it's full. Everything relates to everything else. She could get dressed in the dark and still walk out coordinated, because the coordination was decided long before that morning.
Number 7. Her posture and pace do half the work her clothes can't. This point has nothing to do with fabric and everything to do with presence. You can put the exact same coat on two different women, and one will look like she's wearing armor, while the other looks like she's wearing a costume. The difference isn't the coat, it's the woman inside it. Trend followers, especially when self-conscious, tend to rush. Quick steps, phone out, shoulders slightly curled forward, eyes down. It's not a character flaw, it's just a habit born from moving through the world quickly, distracted, reactive. Elegant women, almost universally, move slower than you'd expect. Shoulders back, not rigid, relaxed. Chin level, not tilted up in performance, just level. A pace that says, I am not rushing to prove anything to anyone. That single shift in body language changes how an outfit reads entirely. The same blazer looks structured and intentional on someone standing tall and looks borrowed on someone hunched over a phone. This is why finishing school instructors, decades ago, spent as much time on how women walked into a room as they did on what those women wore. The clothes were only ever half the equation. Posture was, and still is, the other half.
Number 8. She edits before she buys, and edits again before she wears. This is the point that ties everything together, because it's less about a single habit and more about a philosophy running underneath all 7 of the others. A trend follower's shopping decisions are reactive. She sees something online, feels a flicker of desire, and buys it within minutes, often without asking whether it fits her existing wardrobe, her lifestyle, or even her actual taste 6 months from now. The result is a closet full of items that don't talk to each other. Everything is a standalone purchase instead of part of a coherent story. An elegant woman edits at 2 separate moments. First, before she buys anything, she asks whether it fits her established silhouette, her palette, her uniform. If it doesn't, she lets it go, no matter how much she liked it in the moment. Second, she edits again before she leaves the house. One final pass in the mirror, removing, not adding, taking off the extra necklace, simplifying the bag choice, asking, what can I remove and still feel complete? That second edit, the subtraction, not the addition, is the single habit most trend followers skip entirely, and it's often the exact thing that separates a good outfit from an elegant one.
So here's what all 8 of these have in common, if you zoom all the way out. None of them require money you don't have. None of them require a closet overhaul by next week. Every single one is a decision, a small, repeatable, deliberate decision about how you want to move through the world. Trend followers are reacting. Elegant women are choosing. That's the entire difference, distilled into one sentence. It was never about designer labels or expensive fabric or knowing what's trending this month. It was about intention. Showing up, again and again, as a version of yourself you actually decided on, instead of a version the algorithm decided for you. You don't need to change everything tonight. Pick one of these 8. Just one. Maybe it's the accessory rule. Take one thing off before you leave the house tomorrow. Maybe it's the posture shift. Walk 10% slower into your next room. Small, quiet, deliberate.
Elegance was never loud. It never needed to be. It simply needed to be intentional. One decision at a time, repeated until it became who you are. If this resonated with you, you already know where you're headed. Subscribe, and let's keep decoding what quiet elegance actually looks like. One honest, unglamorous truth at a time. I'll see you in the next one.